Decision making is the most important skill that we are not taught. Everything boils down to decisions: where you choose to live, where you choose to work, who you choose to be friends with, what to study at uni, what job to have. They are all massive decisions, and it is not easy to get them right. So why are we not taught anything about decision making? I think I was particularly institutionalized whilst I was at school and university because my personality type was not one to question the way things were. And I think that led to me not developing the decision-making skill and not learning to take accountability for my own decisions. So I think it came as a bit of a shock, to be honest, leaving university, because then suddenly I was faced with one of the biggest decisions in your life: what to do, how to spend your time, what job to get, what career to choose, and it really stressed me out. Focus. It really stressed me out. Suddenly, you leave university with all these decisions to make, like where to live, what job to get, and who to stay friends with, and how much do you care about money, and how much do you want to earn. All these things significantly impact your life, and we're just not really taught how to make better decisions. We think we know how to make good decisions, but actually we're held back by things like confirmation bias, which is where you look for things to confirm the decision that you have made or want to make. And we're held back by things like the spotlight effect, which is where you think everyone is thinking about you, and so your decisions somehow matter to everyone, and everyone is constantly thinking about the things that you're also thinking about. Spoiler alert: no one cares. The spotlight effect can actually really hold you back because you're spending so much time worrying about what other people think of you that you're not making decisions that you want to make. And we waste a lot of time thinking about what other people think. And yes, people do sometimes think about you. That is the reality. But it's rarely as negative as you think it might be. And not making decisions because of what other people think, we know, is obviously a stupid thing to do. On the whole, you don't want to just totally disregard everyone else's opinion. Another sneaky fallacy that gets us humans is the sunk cost fallacy. And this is where we have already invested time, energy, or money into something, and because of that, we don't want to stop. We want to follow through on the thing that we are doing. And this is something that really holds us back from making a better decision. We think to ourselves, oh, I've been studying computer science at university, I should probably just get a job as a software engineer. Or, oh, I've already been in this job for 3 years, I don't want to switch careers now, it involves more time and effort. And yes, that might be the best decision, but the point of the sunk cost fallacy is that sometimes the better decision is actually to switch. And we don't make the choice to switch because of the fact that we've invested time and energy and money. It's a fallacy. It fools us. And the final bias that gets us is outcome bias. So this is where we judge things by the outcomes and not by the process that we went through to get there. Maybe you didn't prepare well for an exam, but you got lucky and you knew how to answer some of the questions and you ended up doing well. And then you think, oh, I can do that every time. That's outcome bias. So how do we actually make better decisions? My unresearched answer to how to make better decisions is to think in probabilities. This means thinking in terms of how likely something is to happen in the future and how certain you feel about making that decision. The goal here for any decision is for you to get to 51% certainty about making that decision. And getting to 51% certainty means considering all the factors in the decision and thinking how likely each thing is to happen. And a big part of that means trying to get over our biases: outcome bias, the sunk cost fallacy, the spotlight effect, and confirmation bias, because these things skew how likely we think things are to happen. For example, some people are scared of flying, and statistically speaking, this is a really silly, irrational thing to be scared of. And the reason we are scared of it is because our body knows that going through the air at 500 miles an hour at 30,000 feet is a bit strange. But this just goes to show that we are not very good at considering statistical outcomes. So this is a big part of the 51% certainty rule, trying to get better at generating that 51% certainty, because we are not very good at predicting the future. We are not very good at listening to statistics. But the way we should go about the 51% certainty rule is to try and gather all the information that we can about a decision and then try to get to 51% certainty and then make the decision. Sometimes I get overwhelmed deciding what to wear in the morning, and lots of us find that stressful. And if, for example, we had 5 items of clothing laid out in front of us and we don't know what to wear, we can just think, which one am I 51% certain about wearing today? And it may well turn out to be the wrong thing to wear, but that is fine. We can let go and we can move on because we cannot predict the future. And so a big part of the 51% rule is getting better at generating that 51% certainty, learning from our mistakes, learning that that shirt that we chose was not the best for that day. We cannot predict the future. We will never have 100% certainty over any decision that we ever make. And when you learn that, when you internalize that and accept that, you realize that actually all you can ever hope for is 51% certainty. And when you're 70% certain about doing something and you're hoping for that extra 30%, you need to recognize that you're never going to get it. Well, actually, that's not how it works. Let's say you're 70% certain about moving to London. In a week's time, you might actually get more information that's going to help you make the decision. So you could decide, okay, I'm 70% certain now, I'm going to make the decision now. Or you can think, I know I'm going to get more information in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm going to wait until then so that I can get closer to 100% certainty. But the most important thing to recognize is that you're never going to get 100% certainty about any decision. And that's why I like the 51% rule so much, because it knows that you will never be certain about the future. And I can just think with any decision, gather all the information that I can, that I have available to me, and then I can just think, am I 51% certain? And I can make that decision. And we can get better at generating that 51% over time by learning from our mistakes and thinking in probabilities. Just gonna get nice and close here in case you haven't internalized it yet. You will never know what the future holds. But that's the beauty of life and of decision making. And when you learn to embrace that, things get a little bit easier. So that is my heavily unresearched decision-making masterclass. And if it turns out to be totally the wrong way to approach things, then let me know in the comments. But the point is, I have found making life decisions in the last 3 years since leaving university quite difficult. And I think a lot of people do too. We need to learn how to get better at decision-making. And for me, the 51% rule has really made things simpler. Go forth and make epic decisions.